All the data that we have collected so far in the app, like the recent search terms, the cart, everything is in memory. And as soon as we would refresh the app, we would lose that information. We don't have the cart anymore. The recent searches are there because we have it hard-coded over here. But let's say that we wanted to store this and we wanted to get back the cart information, the recent searches information. And I would ideally want to store this information in the persistent storage. So that is when the user kills and comes back to the app, we are able to retrieve that information and show it to the user. And this can also include the user token. So we'll also be able to continue the user session from there. This is where async storage comes in. Async storage is a persistent key value store. It's a very simple format. What it does is it stores the data in the app on iOS and Android, and it basically takes a key for the value that we want to store. And the value is any string that we want to store. Generally, what we do is we take a JSON and we stringify it and store it, and then pull it back into the application state when the app relaunches or whenever we want to. Using this is quite simple. We install the async storage library from the React Native community. This was a part of the core React Native, but since the Lean Core initiative by React Native team, they have started moving out a lot of these optional dependencies. It is not absolutely required to have async storage. It's based on the use case. So that way it is great and it keeps the core React Native as light as possible. So we'll just add this async storage library to our application, and then we just need to do a pod install for iOS, and from there it's pretty simple. So let's do that. Let's open the package.json, and we would want this in dependencies. Okay, we have it installed. Next, let's go to the iOS directory and do pod install. Let me come back when this is done. So it has installed React Native async storage. We'll just start the Metro bundler again. And what we'll do is we'll go to the core services, and like we implemented the API service, we'll implement the storage service over here. That is a part of the core service. So that will abstract out the implementation from the rest of the application. Let's start doing that. Const storage export default storage. And if you look at the async storage API, it provides a lot of methods like get item, set item, merge, remove items. What we'll do is we'll implement get item and set item, and the rest of these are best based on the use cases. So let's take get, and we need a key that we want to get the data for. Let's also import storage from React Native async storage. And we'll wrap this in a try catch block. Return storage dot get item, and we need to pass the key to it. For error block, let's log it to console for now. Once we have a network error dashboard setup like Sentry, if we're going to look in one of the upcoming lessons, we can push it to that too. So we'll say async storage get failed. Let's also log the key. And push the error. Next, let's also implement the set, because before we can get a key, we need to set it. We pass the value, which will be of type any. It can be any JSON object. It doesn't need to have a particular structure. So we'll say async storage dot set item, And what this takes is a key and a value as a string. So we'll convert that JSON to a string and handle that over here. So the application can still passing an object. Say set field for key. So that's it. Let's now go ahead and use it. So what we can do is we can either save the card that we want. So we have a thumb for that, for saving the card, or we can save the recent searches. Because once we kill the application, we lose these searches. So let's go to our home page. And we are doing an add to cart over here. So right here, we're passing the SQL and calling this add item to cart from thumb. Go to our thumb and save this cart to persistent storage also. So let's do that. Let's go to the thumb for our home for saving this cart, which is this one. So right here, we're saving it to the cart. After this, let's get the cart, which is this, and then also save it to casing storage. So we'll say code storage service from services slash /storage and we call it just storage also. So this is storage dot set, and we'll pass the key. So let's lay a key for that. We need to use a hard-coded value. So we'll go to config and we'll say key card, and let's say cart. So import the config, import config from, and we get the config from services slash config, and we'll say config dot keys dot card, and we also need to pass the value. So the store is the card state. So we'll say store. Save that. And now when we add items to cart, it will also save it to the storage. And there's no direct way to see what data has been stored into the async storage, although there is a tool that's called Reactotron. It allows you to see the network calls and also what's inside the storage, and we can use that. What we'll do is once the application launches, we'll get the item back and console it so that way we can also see it. So let's do that. We do the app thumb, the splash screen launch, and as it launches, we get the item from the card. So we'll say storage dot get, and we pass the key. Config dot keys dot card, save it, and this returns up from. So we'll do const card await, and to push it to the application card. But let's want add item to card, but what that do that. But before that, let's just console that for now. Got this error because we added async storage, and this is not a pure JavaScript library. There's also some native code that this library implements. So what we need to do is we need to rebuild the application and launch it again. So I'll just do that. So I'll say yarn iOS and I'll get back to the point where this loads the application. So the build took some time, but we're back. And let me just relaunch the app and we look at the value in the console. So let me just also open that, start the app. And as we can see, the cart is coming as null because there's nothing in there right now. So let's go ahead and click that add to cart button on the home page. And so let's add to cart and then we'll try and check by launching the app. So we'll say add to cart, and since we are now saving this to the storage, which is async storage, now add to our cart fund, we should have that. So we'll go back to our app and relaunch it. And now if we look at the console, we have that card. So as we saw, we killed the app and then content, we get the card back. So next what we need to do is we need to set it back to our application state. One way to do that would be we dispatch the same action, but this action is defined for only one item, and using that might mess with analytics. Let's say we also have some analytics written over it that fires a particular pixel on listening to the add to cart action. So that will also get fired. So let's do that. What we'll do is we'll write a separate action for it that says add items to cart, and that will say initiate cart. And then we'll know that this is a very specific action that happens in the application. So we'll say init cart. This, let's just go that and add, let's just go and add this action. So we'll say init cart. And we'll save that. And we'll go to reducer. And we'll add a reducer. And what we can do is we don't have any items when the application launches, the application state will be null. So what we do is add action for data to it. And we'll save that. So we also need to add data to this, which is for where, and it will be of type cart state, which is array of cart item. And save that. And now all we need to do is we need to go back to our thumb and dispatch that. Dispatch, and we will say init cart. So cart states. So we'll say item and then cart. So the array says that we need to pass an item array, and what we're doing is passing string because get returns a string. What we could do is for returning the value, we can pass this as JSON and give it back. That and say first, what we can do is if we have something in value, we'll say return JSON that parse value, or will simply return. that. And now typecast this as array or cart item, which is what our cart state is. So let's save that. And now when we check the state, let's restart the app and let's continue. We already have an item. So click it a couple more times. It says can be started and continue. It's still. And let's restart that. And we can, and once we continue, we'll have the two items that we added to cart. So there we have it. So let's see. For now, as you noticed, the badge on the cart was set. This was not happen when we did that from the launch screen, and I'll explain that in 1 second. So let's just relaunch that. So now our cart will be persisted. Now about updating this badge, remember we the cart from our recent storage on the splash screen, and then that's also where we set the state where it's available. But this tab navigation is not available on the splash screen. It happens only after that. If we go back to the navigator, we'll see that once we continue from our splash screen, we get the tab navigation. So what we need to do is when we set that navigation, we need to get this value from the store and set the value of the badge. So let's do that. We'll go to navigator, then we get the store and set this value for, not for settings, but for cart over here. So we go to the top and we'll import store, import store from share store. Let's go to cart icon. See, and store dot date dot cart dot items dot rent. We'll save that. Now, once the app refreshes, it will fetch the data from the AC storage, set that to state, and when the tab navigation is shown, it will also set the badge for the cart icon. So let's reload the app and see that. Okay, we need to make this as a string. Badge does not accept numbers. Now that we go to the tab navigation, we'll also have the badge with the number of items in the cart. There it is. So next what we can do is we can also save these recent searches. This is right now hard coded into the search. but we can save this to 18 storage. And I'll leave this up to the students to implement. So what we've done is we can implement the get and the set for our racing storage. We can also implement other methods that are required for the app. Mostly a remove or a remove all method is generally required so that we can clear the card. In some cases, when we are locking out the user, so we want to clear the storage for that token and also for other values that it can have stored for that particular user. So that is useful. Apart that, what I remember is that the racing storage is default deleted when the app is deleted, and this is to prevent an unexpected behavior. Now, what happens is this is by design. For that is whatever you store in nascent storage and the user deletes the app, when they deinstall, they expect a fresh behavior. And that would not happen if nascent storage was backed up to the iCloud. So the default behavior is that it is not backed up to the iCloud. But if we want to do that, we want to store our data that is in nascent storage to the iCloud. All we need to do is we need to go to the folder list of the iOS application and simply add this particular key in value. So the key is going to be RCT async storage exclude from backup and set that to no. So doing that will automatically backup our in async storage to cloud. But doing this, we should be absolutely sure that whatever we're putting in async storage, we want that to be backed up to iCloud. And when next time the user installs and logs in, we want that data back. So if that is the use case for your app, this is how we would do it. So I'll include the search part of saving it to async storage and then pulling it back. And what I'll do is I'll implement that in the thunk of splash screen. So now as we can see, the thunk is starting to have more and more logic. We an action that says that splash is launched. This is probably to be captured by an analytics. Then we also fetch the card. Now we're also talking about fetching the searches. And if the application does some kind of a login, we'll also talk about fetching that user token and validating the user token. So there's quite a few things that's going on here, and having something like this inside the view doesn't really make sense. And it also clutters the view with a lot of business logic that's not required. So these middlewares are really, really fantastic. And you can also control the order right here. So if you want to validate the user and then fetch the card, we can also do that. So that's all for this module, and I'll see you in the next one.